The size of a world is entirely dependent upon the technological progress a society has achieved over its lifespan. And to the people of this world, the land was large, much wider and more treacherous than one could think without bearing witness themselves. Most never did see this landscape, as a journey across the countryside took days or weeks, and for the travelers that did begin the trek, few made it home. Any who could ride horseback into the mountains were seen as symbols of courage and strength. Common though these traits are, they were still considerable in marriage and other affairs. For those that survived the wild long enough, they became leaders of their communities, the chiefs of clans. But it must be known that these people were not primitive. They had food, shelter, farming, government, enough to sustain the belief that there could be more to the small world they became used to. So they asked the important question, the kind that sends civilizations into the future. Can we make our world better? And they did. Working together between fences and expanses of forest, the people of this planet, or at least the country, built a marvel of technology to be known for centuries to come, the phone. Now, at first this phone was just an accessory, a burden to the riders. But as decades moved on, so did invention after invention, the ambition of the people revealed. After enough years and hard labor, they had the smartphone. The technology immediately shrunk distance tenfold, if not physically, then emotionally. People could meet distant relatives, centuries separated. Doctors could deliver babies from miles away. Birthdays celebrated with more people than one could ever know. With the development of this society, something else was permanently altered as well. Riders no longer were needed in a world that solved distance, so out of the few that existed, most quietly put up the reins and retired forever. Some remained with the hope that people would revive the old ways, keeping supplies somewhat steady for non-riders. Inns that used to house these famed characters now closed after not finding a soul for months, which eventually became years. Screens dominated townspeople who no longer left their homes. They didn't know how to ride, and why would they, with all their needs met just inches in front of their faces? And faces. Those were forgotten as well as people hid who they were, best friends comfortable with never having glimpsed each other. Weddings arranged and followed through digitally. It truly made no difference though, since the only time the doors were cracked was to get their deliveries of food or drink. There is one belief, though, that kept these people alive for so long, that continued on through the centuries, and that was innovation, the desire to make the world a little better. And as most believe there is nothing to accomplish after the smartphone, most gave up this promise. But for those who remained true to the ideal of an even smaller world than already ingrained into culture, they made something new. They called it the engine, a revolution to the physical world unseen before. Although not intentional, it was enough to eliminate all riders, or better phrased, make everyone a participant in travel. The people could once again meet one another, know every face they conversed with, and go to lands never walked. What did people say to this breakthrough? Nothing. They ignored it. Roads were paved but stayed empty. The couple engines sold lay in wait right alongside the horses. The one level of technological progress the people completely disregarded was the one that could have closed the gap of distance for real. The screens stayed on and the doors still did not crack open. The riders stayed home. So this one kind of started as like a thought experiment of like what would happen if we just had horses and then we invented smartphones instead of like the engine. But then I kind of changed it around, and now it kind of symbolizes how people have like cars and stuff that they can go anywhere they want. They can see anyone who they feel like, compared to this world where they didn't have that. But then people stay on their phones. They stay inside because they just don't care. They feel like everything's done inside on their own, and they just don't care about like seeing each other. And I think that's kind of the point of this, just to like compare like a world that actually physically you can't see other people to a world where you choose not to see other people. So that was all I was going to say today. Bye.